Hello students, welcome to my YouTube channel Pratik Singh Classes. In this video, we will start from section 2.10.3, that is equations of uniformly accelerated motion by calculus method. In previous video, we have seen about how to find out differentiation and integration. The very basics we have seen, which is related to physics. From the new portion of standard 11 physics, differentiation and integration is omitted, okay, but it is needed everywhere in physics. Fine. So without wasting our time, let us start our today's class. But before we start our today's class, let me ask you once again to please subscribe my channel Pratik Singh Classes and hit the bell icon for all the videos to get all the notifications. Fine. So starting section 2.10.3, that is equations of uniformly accelerated motion by calculus method. Here uniformly accelerated motion means when the acceleration of the object will remain constant for a long period of time or up to the consideration. Fine. Consider an object moving in a straight line with uniform or constant acceleration a. Okay. In class 10th also you have studied about acceleration. Okay. So as given here, the body is moving in a straight line with a uniform acceleration, and that is a. Please note it down that acceleration is a vector quantity. It has magnitude as well as direction. Let u be the velocity of object at time t is equal to 0 and v with the velocity of the body later at time t. That means the initial velocity is u and the final velocity of the object is v. Now coming to velocity time relation. How the object's velocity is related with respect to time. Okay, the acceleration of body at any instant is given by first derivative of velocity with respect to time. Here first derivative means when it is derivated first time, that is a is equal to dv by dt. Here dv by dt means first derivative of velocity with respect to time, or here if you just take the numerator dt to left hand side, you will get a dt is equal to dv, or dv is equal to a dt. Okay, now integrate both sides. When we have to integrate, we always have to give the lower limit and the upper limit. Okay, the lower, this is the sign of integration, and below it as you can see u 0. Okay, these are the lower limits, and above it is v, t, t, v, all those are upper limits. Here the body has started from time t is equal to 0 to t is equal to t. Okay, so the lower limit for time variable will be 0 and upper limit will be t, and that it had started from velocity u to v. The initial velocity was u. So here in integral dv, initial limit or lower limit is taken as u and the final velocity of the object was v, so the upper limit for dv is taken as v. Okay, so we will get the equation integral dv from u to v is equal to integral a dt from 0 to t. Here a is a constant, that is why it has came outside. So we will get integral dv from u to v is equal to a into integral dt from 0 to t. Now integrating it, we will get v from u to v is equal to a into t from 0 to t, or v minus u is equal to at. Just bringing at to left hand side and u to the right hand side, we will get v is equal to u plus at. So this is the first derivation or the first equation for motion of the object if it is accelerated with uniform acceleration a. That is final velocity v is equal to initial velocity u plus acceleration into time t. Okay, if suppose a is dependent on time t, a cannot be brought outside the time integral. Okay, here in this equation 2.7 a is taken outside because a was independent of time t, not dependent. Okay, coming to next, that is displacement time relation. Okay, means how the displacement of the body moving with uniform acceleration a related to time t. You know very well that displacement is the shortest path between two points or between two places. The velocity of a body is given by the first derivative of displacement with respect to time, that is v is equal to ds by dt. Okay, we know very well that velocity is equal to displacement by time. It is just the same formula, v is equal to ds by dt, or just multiply this dt to left hand side, that is v dt, you will get ds is equal to v dt. Okay, we know from the previous equation that v is equal to u plus at. So at the place of v dt, we can write, at the place of v, we can write u plus at. So we will get ds is equal to u plus at into dt. Now suppose the object had started moving from when time t is equal to 0. Okay, that means the object had started moving from origin. At a later time t, the particle displacement is s, means after some time the displacement of the object is s. Further assuming that acceleration is time independent, then we just integrate this equation ds is equal to u plus at into dt. We will get integral ds from 0 to s is equal to integral u dt from 0 to t plus integral at dt from 0 to t. Okay, by integration we will get s is equal to ut plus half at square. You just need to memorize this thing, that how it has come. Okay, why it is happening you not need to memorize, because now calculus is omitted from physics. Okay, if you wish you can see the previous video lectures. Okay, so we will have s is equal to ut plus half at square. Now the third one, that is velocity displacement relation. That means how velocity and displacement of any object is related to each other. The acceleration is given by the first derivative of velocity with respect to time, that is a is equal to dv by dt. At the place of dv by dt we can write dv by ds into ds by dt, just multiplying and dividing by ds. As you can see here, multiplying and dividing by ds, it will cancel out and again we will get dv by dt. So here ds by dt is equal to v. So here we will get acceleration a is equal to dv by ds into v. Okay, so here ds by dt is equal to v, where s is the displacement traversed. Fine. So this can be rewritten as acceleration a is equal to half into d by ds of v square, or ds is equal to 1 by 2a into dv square. Okay, here this thing has come from integration, which is omitted. Integrating the above equation using the fact when velocity changes from u to v, that means the initial velocity was u and final velocity was v, taking time from 0 to t, we will get integral ds from 0 to s is equal to integral 1 by 2a into dv square from u to v. Okay, or s is equal to 1 by 2a into v square minus u square, or just interchanging the equations, the values, we will get v square is equal to u square plus 2as. We can also derive the displacement s in terms of initial velocity u and final velocity v. Okay, as in equation 2.7, let us see once again what was equation 2.7. Here v is equal to u plus at. So we will have at is equal to v minus u. Substituting equation 2.8, we will get s is equal to ut plus half into v minus u by t. S is equal to, here the formula, s is equal to ut plus half at. Okay, so here we will get once again, as we can see from equation 2.8, sorry, s is equal to ut plus half at square. So at the place of at we can write v minus u. At the place of at we can write v minus u. So we will get here s is equal to ut plus half at into t, or s is equal to ut plus half v minus u into t, or s is equal to u plus v into t by 2. So here these equations 2.7, 2.8 and 2.9 are called kinematic equations of motion and have a wide variety of practical applications. Okay, so here we have 4 kinematic equations. Those are v is equal to u plus at, s is equal to ut plus half at square, v square is equal to u square plus 2as, S is equal to U plus V into T by 2. So these all four formulas you will need to study the basics of physics wherever you will study mechanics. Okay, these four formulas will be needed. Here these four formula will come again when you will study about circular motion. It is to be noted that all these kinematic equations are valid only if the motion is in a straight line with constant acceleration. So as you can see here, these formula, these are valid when the object is moving in a straight line and also if the motion of the object is uniform. Objects moving in circular motion, okay, or periodic motion, or if the object is moving in non-uniform motion, in that situation all these formulas are invalid. Okay, for circular motion and oscillatory motion these equations are not applicable. For that we have to study some more things. Okay, now equations of motion under gravity, how does it happen? If suppose we just drop any object from our hand in downwards, okay, then the motion of the object is called as motion under gravity. A practical example of a straight line motion with constant acceleration is the motion of an object near the surface of earth. And when we say near the surface of earth, that means that the height of the object from which it is just drawn downward is not comparable with respect to the radius of the earth. We know that near the surface of earth the acceleration due to gravity is g and it is a constant value. In class 9th 10th you studied that g is equal to 9.8 into 9.8 meter per second square. All straight line motions under this acceleration can be well understood using kinematic equations as given earlier in equation here, all these four equations. So here you can see that y is standing on a height of a cliff, okay, and he has just dropped a ball. Okay, as you can see the height of the ball from the ground is h, and as it is moving downward it will move in a straight line motion as well as it will have a constant acceleration that will be equal to g. Okay, so case 1, a body falling from a height h. So here you can see that vertically downward direction is taken as y-axis and horizontally x-axis as given here. One more thing, if here vertically downward is taken as y-axis, then vertically upward will be minus y. Consider an object of mass m falling from a height h as given here. The mass of this ball in the boy's hand was m and its height from the ground was h. Assume there is no air resistance. Okay, that means suppose the object is falling in such a way that there happens no resistance because of air. For convenience, let us choose the downward direction as positive y-axis as shown in figure. Here the downward direction is taken as y-axis, positive y-axis. The object experiences acceleration g due to gravity, which is constant near the surface of the earth. Keeping in mind wherever this thing will be given near the surface of the earth, that means the height should be not be very much. Okay, we can use kinematic equations for these types of motions. Here we will have acceleration a is equal to g j cap. Okay, so here vector a is given. Okay, writing here acceleration in vector form. In this equation here you can see on the movement of my cursor, here these are given in the form of a scalar. Okay, or in these equations we haven't taken the direction, we just have taken the magnitudes. Okay, but here velocity, acceleration, okay, displacement, all these are vector quantities. Coming back to our topic, okay, so here acceleration vector a is equal to g j cap. G is the magnitude of acceleration, okay, and j cap means vectorially in downward direction. Okay, as given here, vector y as j cap is in positive y axis direction, that is vertically downward. So a is equal to g j cap. J cap means a unit vector in the direction of positive y axis. by comparing the components, we get, see here, a vector can be written into its component form like vector A is equal to AXI cap plus AYJ cap plus AZK cap. So we will have, because the object is moving here, the ball is moving only in positive y-axis direction, okay, that means its x-axis movement is 0 and z-axis movement is 0. So we will have AX is equal to 0, AZ is equal to 0 and AY is equal to G. That means acceleration towards y-axis is equal to G. Let us take for simplicity that AY is equal to A is equal to G. We just substitute AY is equal to G. Okay, if the particle is thrown with initial velocity u downward, which is a negative y-axis, then velocity and position of the particle at any time t is given by v is equal to u plus gt. Once again, it is a confusing sentence. Okay, when the particle moves downward, okay, so here if when the object from the boy's hand, when the ball is moving downward direction, that is in positive y-axis direction, because here y-axis is taken as vertically downward. So we will have v is equal to u plus gt, where v is final velocity, u is initial velocity, g is acceleration due to gravity, and t is time t. Okay, let us try to understand this in some another way. Suppose where at the time t the ball was in the boy's hand, okay, after time t, okay, so here the instant when the boy has just dropped the ball is taken as t is equal to 0. After time t, suppose the ball has come to this point on my cursor, okay, here the ball has come, so means from top to here the time taken was t. Okay, here suppose the boy has dropped the ball with initial velocity u. When the ball reaches at this position, okay, as the movement of my cursor, okay, the velocity becomes v, okay, then it is given that v is equal to u plus gt. Okay, at that instant velocity of the ball will become u plus gt, and also this distance, that means from the hand to this height, okay, at the position of my cursor, okay, from the boy's hand to this position, okay, the displacement is given by y is equal to ut plus half gt square. Okay, here y is taken because it is moving in positive y-axis direction, and here positive y-axis direction is taken as downward. The square of the speed of particle when it is at any distance y from the hilltop is given by v square is equal to u square plus 2gy. Here y is the displacement of the particle, or in this case the ball. Now suppose the particle starts from rest, that means initial velocity is equal to 0. In that situation, the velocity v, the position of the particle, and v square at any time t is given by the equation as v is equal to gt, y is equal to half gt square, and v square is equal to 2gy. Suppose the time taken t, small t is equal to capital T. Capital T means total time taken to complete one rotation. Okay, here that means the time from when the particle has just dropped, okay, up to the time when it reaches to ground, it is equal to capital T. So taken by particle to reach the ground, for which y is equal to h, okay, is given by h is equal to half gt square. That means, let us see in the figure. So this h, total h from top to bottom is given by half gt square. Okay, y is equal to half gt square, okay, that is h is equal to half gt square, and t is equal to root 2 h by g. That means time taken by this ball to from boy's hand to this ground, time taken to reach this distance is given by this equation, capital T is equal to root 2h by g. Equation 2.18 implies that greater the height, the particle takes more time to reach the ground. For lesser height, it takes lesser time to reach the ground. as obvious it is. Fine. The speed of the particle when it reaches the ground, that means when the particle, or when in this case when the ball was about to touch the ground, at that time what was its speed? And you can imagine that when the ball is dropped from the boy's hand, as it will move down, the velocity will keep on increasing because the acceleration is keep on increasing. So when the ball is about to touch the ground, at that time what was its speed? Okay, it can be found using equation 2.16, that v is equal to root 2gh. The above equation implies that the ball falling from greater height h will have higher velocity when it reaches the ground. That means higher will be the height, higher will be the velocity when the ball will be about to touch the ground. The motion of a body falling towards earth from a small altitude where h is very less than r. Here capital R is the radius of earth, purely under the force of gravity is called free fall. Okay. So here the examples are given. If you wish, you can do it. Okay, and if you have any doubt, okay, you can ask me how to find it out, how to do the calculations. Okay, then we will see another case too, that is a body thrown vertically upwards. Just a moment. 6 and 2, 5, 3. Okay. Consider an object of mass m thrown vertically upward with initial velocity u. Okay, so as you can see here, the boy is playing with the ball. He has thrown the ball in upward direction and it has again came down. Okay, in this situation, as you can see here, vertical y-axis upward is taken as positive and y-axis downward is taken as negative. Always keep in mind that we are free to choose axis in any direction, taking in order that if we choose any axis in any direction positive, the opposite will be negative. Okay, in physics, positive and a negative number doesn't mean that one is bigger or other is smaller. It only means that the direction. Okay, negative means opposite direction. Consider an object of mass m thrown vertically upward with initial velocity u. Let us neglect the air friction. In this case, we choose vertical direction as positive, vertically upward as positive y-axis. Then acceleration in this situation will become minus g. That means when the object, or when in this case ball will move upward, its acceleration will keep on decreasing. At its highest point, when the ball will reach the highest point here, okay, acceleration will be equal to 0, and when the acceleration will be equal to 0, its direction will change and again the ball will fall downward. Okay, the kinematic equation for the motions are given here. The velocity and position of the object at any time t is given by v is equal to u minus dt. Okay, because here negative sign is taken here because the object is moving in upward direction, downward direction is taken as positive, so upward will be negative, so v is equal to u minus dt and s is equal to ut minus half gt square. The velocity of the object at any position y, okay, from the point where the object is thrown is given by v square is equal to u square minus 2gy. Okay, so these are the things which you have to study. Okay, in next video we will study about projectile motion. If you have any question related to this video, you can ask me in the comment section of this video. I hope you will enjoy this. Okay, please subscribe my channel, like it and share it among your friends. Okay, and spread the message. Fine, thank you.